Well, if you haven't seen what Clifford looks like in his new movie, there you go. That's the design that the internet's been freaking out. I still remember back when people saw pictures of what Clifford looked like in this movie. There was all this freaking out. It was kind of like the Sonic and Detective Pikachu movies all over again. Well, now that you know about all this freaking out, let's sit down and watch this trailer. Hey, Clifford. Ooh, Willem scream. Hi, John Cleese.
All around us.
There's Clifford.
At times it can be hard.
How many times have I said that? See Emily Elizabeth getting teased.
The magic finds us.
Look at you, Uncle Casey. So cute.
I'm so rad.
How big is he gonna get?
That depends, doesn't it?
On what?
On how much you love him.
I wish we were big and strong, and the world couldn't hurt us.
The tear that made Clifford huge in this movie?
Clifford?
Okay.
Uncle Casey!
Oh no, we're gonna be late for school.
About the dog?
Hey, that's live footage of how the internet reacted to how Clifford looks in this movie.
Ew.
I have to say, I'm still getting a little of that uncanny valley effect.
Try to hide him or something?
It's New York. No one will even notice.
Pizza. Just a big. Whew. Why don't we get you on the scale here, bud? I'm just gonna write heavy.
What if you found someone who made you feel like you could do anything?
Yeah.
Oh no.
This modern feel of the trailer, I'm not getting super confident about this.
Oh look, they're playing.
Oh, spit him out, Clifford. Spit.
Well, you don't see
No,
that
no.
every day.
Maybe it's time to feed him.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I got something to say. Alright, so hey everybody, Blood Moon Bobby here. It's been a while since I've done a trailer reaction, and unfortunately, I kind of wished I had a trailer I had a bit more faith in, so we're taking a look at Clifford the Big Red Dog today. I remember back when there was a lot of buzz when this movie was coming around, especially with how Clifford looked, and yeah, we'll get into how he looks in a second. Before I do, I'll talk a bit about my personal experience with the Clifford franchise. So I personally mostly grew up knowing Clifford from his animated TV series on PBS that used to air back in the 2000s. And yeah, it was still one of my favorite PBS shows. It was around the time that I was getting into shows like, Arthur, and Clifford was one of them. And it was just one of these, educational but fun PBS animated shows that taught some life lessons. Like some of the episodes I remember, there was one where Clifford was really afraid to go to the doctor. There was one where he ate way too much of this dog food. Another episode where him and his friends caused this incident with all this ice cream getting all over this dock. And one where there's actually, I remember there was an episode where Emily Elizabeth, that's his owner, goes away for some kind of thing with her family, and Clifford is really sad and is howling, and his neighbors have to help him feel better. So in general, I do like Clifford. I particularly like the TV series. I think I've read a couple of the Clifford books when I was a kid, although I'll be honest, as a kid, I personally preferred the Arthur books, and I would just constantly be checking out Arthur a lot when I was a kid. But I still like the books. I took a look at several of the Clifford stories before I did this. I downloaded a collection from the Apple bookstore. And I also watched a few episodes of the new Clifford TV series. There's a new animated series on PBS Kids. It still has Emily Elizabeth, but in the new version, it's more musical. Emily Elizabeth could actually understand what Clifford says, and she has new friends in the new series. So, yeah, there's definitely a couple different interpretations of Clifford over the years, and now we're taking a look at this new live-action movie, which, yeah, I don't really have a good feeling about this. Not just because of Clifford's design. I mean, if you're expecting me to go like screaming and go crazy looking at a live action Clifford, thing is, like, people were talking about it so much on social media that it's almost like I developed a sort of, I don't want to say immunity, but I guess I kinda, sorta got used to seeing Clifford because, I remember, people were like posting this like picture of what he looked like, and people were like, oh no, and it was just like kind of like Detective Pikachu and Sonic all over again, where people are like, oh no, this design does not look so good. And to me, it's not that like Clifford looks like horrible or anything like that. It's just kind of like, it's just sort of, it's not an uncanny valley kind of thing, but it's just kind of like odd to see this like realistic looking CG dog running around, like this realistic looking anime dog running around, and it just kind of like messes with reality a bit. And as I was watching the trailer, I did feel a little uneasy, but I think the reason why I'm not particularly freaked out, apart from because I've already seen people have shared his design. Heck, even before I started the trailer reaction, the very first frame you saw was I don't want to call him live action Clifford, but I guess you could call him like CG Clifford, and how realistic he is. And the thing about it is, I'm generally the kind of person where even if I don't particularly like the character design, I'm the sort of person that's like, hey, if the story itself is good, then I'm personally cool with it. And that was actually how I felt about Detective Pikachu, where I'm still not really crazy about the character designs and making the Pokemon look super realistic. It works on some, like Charizard, where in that particular scene, it's supposed to be like intense and crazy, but it's not a kind of design that I personally prefer. But I still like the story of the movie. And the ending, I could have used a few more details in the ending, but I still found myself surprisingly invested in Detective Pikachu. And hopefully there is a chance of that in Clifford, although the kind of modernish feel I get from the trailer, I mean, granted, it's not as annoying as, like, other trailers I've seen, or like other movies. Like, it doesn't come off as super grating as something like, let's say, the new Tom and Jerry movie, which I did a review of that. Shameless plug. You could see, if you want to watch the Tom and Jerry review, the card is right over there. I did not like that movie, by the way. But I don't know, just this kind of like but it still kind of has that like that overly modern feel that I don't particularly like. And God, I haven't even gotten to the description of the trailer here, and this is what I mean when I say I kind of feel like some of the updates I'm getting from looking at this trailer look kind of unnecessary. I'll read the description here. A quote: When middle schooler Emily Elizabeth meets a magical animal rescuer, John Cleese, who gifts her a little red puppy, she never anticipated walking up to find a giant 10-foot hound in her small New York City apartment. New York? Not Birdwell Island? Okay. While her single mom is away for business, Emily and her fun but impulsive Uncle Casey set out on an adventure that will keep you on the edge of your seat as our heroes take a bite out of the Big Apple. based on the beloved scholastic book character, Clifford will teach the world how to love big. So I don't know, like as I get older, I start to embrace when it comes to adapting like books into movies. I try to embrace the different changes, or even like if they were trying to make changes to modernize it. Like I think of, once again, to bring up the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and I think like things like that, like the modern references and the fact that it's set on Earth in a realistic world, it worked for that movie because I think it really went with the fun tone of the movie and things like that. But when it comes to Clifford, I think I like Clifford best, or I would prefer it if it was like in a much more timeless setting, and I think that's why I like it when it's set on Birdwell Island like it was in the past, like when I think of like the TV show adaptations. So when they have to switch it to a place like New York City, it just kind of leaves me scratching my head, like why? Like I just don't get it unless the movie is trying to be like hip and things like that. So, and with a franchise with like Clifford, which I think it really works best in like a more timeless setting that's, really relatable. Well, I just don't quite understand the reason for why the movie is taking place in New York City, and some of the other changes don't really make sense to me, like Magical Animal Rescuer John Cleese, which John Cleese on his own, I think, he's a really funny actor. I really like him in like the Monty Python movies or Monty Python's Flying Circus. But I just kind of feel like the idea of Clifford being like given to Emily Elizabeth by like a magical animal rescuer, I think it, is maybe taking this whole magic thing a bit too on the nose, because if I remember correctly in the show, Clifford, because I get the sense in this trailer that they're implying that Clifford is like a magic dog, and that's why like he grows up to be. I know, he says is that that'll depend on how much you love Clifford, and they show that teardrop scene, but I kind of feel like those additions are really unnecessary. I guess maybe the filmmakers are concerned that if Clifford just grew out of Emily Elizabeth's love, then it feels like there's a plot hole. But I kind of feel like this, addition of like a magical animal rescuer and that scene with the teardrop was kind of like unnecessary, especially in a franchise like Clifford that, yeah, it's not like Owl House or Harry Potter where it's like, very apparently like magical with like characters and things like that. Whereas in Clifford, it's like, it's much more subtle and much more implied. And I think that's what makes like Clifford a much more relatable, like slice of life franchise. That's what I personally liked about it. That's what I personally liked about Clifford in the books, the new TV series, as well as the TV series that I grew up with in the 2000s. So, yeah, and then they also made Emily Elizabeth a middle schooler, but I think wasn't she in elementary school in the various other interpretations of Clifford? Because I remember in the TV show, she was in elementary school, so I don't know. I just kind of feels like, did they make her a middle schooler because they want to like make this movie also appeal to like older kids? So these kind of changes that they're giving in the trailer and description, I just kind of feel are unnecessary, and it sort of takes away a bit from the down-to-earthness that I like seeing from Clifford. Yes, of course, magical adventures can be really fun. Like, in Owl House, for example, I'm reviewing that amazing show with Gabby. If you want to check out our review of one of the new episodes, I'll have another card up above this YouTube video. But in a franchise like Clifford, where for the most part, it's set, in everyday life, I mean, even though Clifford's this really big dog, it's mostly a, like a slice of life, down-to-earth story where Clifford and Emily are going around, whether it's in the books where, like in the books, they're like, helping people with different tasks and they want to be super helpful, or in the TV show where Clifford is learning life lessons, I mean, still, kind of, I mean, they could still be over the top, but the messages were still clear. Like, I think of, for example, the ice cream episode, or especially the one where Clifford has to go to the doctor, because that particular lesson is one that Clifford has to learn, where he has to be brave to go to the doctor. So I think I personally prefer when, like, Clifford is much more down to earth, and when Clifford is more down to earth, I think it makes the lessons from his stories and his adventures much more relatable. I think it would have been just fine if the movie was set on Birdwell Island and maybe coming up with a new adventure for that story. Hey there, it's Blood Moon Bobby from the future. It's funny, I was actually thinking about how I criticized how in the Clifford trailer it's set in New York City, and my first thought was, oh, so is the whole movie is set in New York? But then I realized something, at least something that happened in the original PBS animated series, where in that show, when Clifford was a puppy, they actually started off in this big city, but when he, grew up and became the big red dog that we know him for, where Emily Elizabeth's family decides to move to Birdwell Island because Clifford is too big for their apartment. Now, I'm not sure, I don't know for sure if that means in the movie itself they're gonna even move to Birdwell Island. I get the impression from the trailer that it looks like it's gonna be like set in New York, at least a good chunk of the movie. But as far as why the movie is set in New York City, as far as the location, there could be that possibility that maybe later in the movie they moved to somewhere like Birdwell Island. To be fair, I'm not sure if that specific place is referenced in the original books. It's mainly a location that's the setting of both the original TV series and the rebooted series that's currently on PBS Kids. So maybe there's a chance they move out. It's just that I personally would prefer a location like Birdwell Island, because I think that would be more relatable. This trailer is basically like, it's the kind of, first trailer where they go over the basics of the story and things like that. So, the sort of a synopsis of the story, introductions, and things like that. So, hopefully we could see more in the future in terms of what are the other plot details involved. I'll give this trailer credit that it doesn't come off as like a super modernized movie where they throw way too much like modern talk in the trailer to try to sell the movie to, to like kind of over advertise the movie. So I will give the trailer that sort of thing. But a lot of the changes that they put in this trailer, I kind of feel are unnecessary, on top of Clifford's design in this new film. So I don't know. I mean, you can't really judge you can't judge a movie just based on a trailer. This is more of a first impressions thing, since as the description says, the movie comes out on September 17th, so there's still a couple months away. But as is, I think I'll just kind of leave this trailer reaction at, I feel like some of the changes to make Clifford more, or like a mystical and more like sort of modernized, or just kind of unnecessary and doesn't really boost my confidence in this movie. I am still planning to review this movie as soon as I can. Maybe I'm not sure if I can review it right when it comes out, but it is a movie I am looking into reviewing when I can. So yeah, so these are my thoughts on the on this first trailer for the Clifford the Big Red Dog movie. Leave all those thoughts down below. Have you personally grown up with Clifford, whether it's watching him in his TV shows or the books? I just remembered Clifford's Puppy Days. I like that show too. And even though, yeah, Clifford has had different, characters and different interpretations over the years, I don't exactly have confidence in this one, but I'll have to see the movie itself to really get a a solid opinion. So leave all your thoughts on this trailer down below, and until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos, and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.